So, little different stuff there. Just kind of giving you some flavors. The hammer-on is very important that this finger and the bar landing at the same time to get that. That's why I like this bar too, is that it's like a pencil coming up and down. And a lot of times you're going to tilt up. Okay. I also like how this will reach in and grab an individual string. Going up, tilting up. I like bare fingers. I know a lot of you guys are going to be on picks. You're going to have a lot more bite with picks. You're going to cut through in the mix 100 times better with picks. I played for picks for 10 years with the bluegrass band on dobro, so it's not that I'm against picks. But they click on electric guitar. And I cut my nails short as I can because I don't like the click. I have a Vibrolux now that's touch sensitive. And it's miserable. I mean, on a standard guitar, I love the fact it's touch sensitive, but when I put my finger on the string, it pops. So you have to be really light with your touch. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and I really like the, grabbing, say, the fourth string and the first string, so you got double E's. This is E, B, G sharp, E, B, E, right? So that sound, I think, is great, especially when the bar is a little twisted like we talked about in the other videos, so that we get kind of a, the thing about being off pitch is what's cool is resolving. Maybe you already know that, but it makes us like we're deharmonized and then we come into harmony. And there's something about that that creates blues. It's our soul. I don't know what it is, but it definitely does it. And I like the fact that the bare fingers give a nicer, warmer tone. And that's, notice I'm not distorting much. So a couple of things to consider there. As far as the hammer-ons, like I say, the finger is the most important thing. This bar is sharp enough to get a pull off, but if you do a Shearhorn bar like we were talking about earlier, it'll play the whole guitar just with this one doesn't grab it quite as tight. The Shearhorn's a lot sharper, so that edge is sharper, so that it'll really grab it. I think the Hound Dog's pretty sharp. I know there's one around here somewhere that the Ernie Ball guys make. I think it's pretty close to that sharpness. They try to copy it some. So what else can we help you with? Basically, try not to, you're going to fit in the box to begin with and copy kind of some old sounds you heard maybe of, Rolling Stone stuff and things like that. Keep in mind, though, they're copying somebody, right? They were copying blues players like T-Bone Walker and all of the old early blues guys. They were, voicing from their soul is what we like it, from the gut. That's what this instrument's really good for, okay? Is creating a, that, kind of making you feel that sad, mournful sound is what you can get on lap steel or Melobar, and that's what its greatest thing it has, is that sound. Remember, on your standard guitar, you can hit it dead on. This thing is your tool to create a whole, mournful type sound. So work on that. Work until you start feeling your gut. And you start feeling your gut, you've made it, okay? It starts to make you feel better. My wife puts up with this music room that's, I live in, because she says when I walk out of here, it's like I've had two beers, sorry. When I walk out of here, it's like I've had 2 beers, because I can come out of a terrible traffic day, come in here and play a little bit. Screwing around too much there, yes. But anyhow, I can come in here and screw around until my gut starts to feel it and kind of lets go of something. And I walk out of here feeling so much better. That's what the ability to move all over this fretboard with a bar or a bottleneck or a slide has that nothing else does. I mean, we take a standard guitar and we stretch a note. We're doing the same thing, but I'm limitless here. You know what I mean? I can, reach up here and go. Now, that's totally weird and different. That's what I can't get on the other one. That's why I... That's what I can't do on other stuff. I mean, I'm kind of being overly dramatic here to try and give the point across. But that's what I encourage. Now, we were in an E tuning, E, B, G sharp, E, B, E. I want you to try D tuning. Totally different. Better on a long scale instrument for sure. Great on acoustic. Boy, if you've got anything acoustic. Just the same thing, just drop everything down, okay? So, instead of E, you're going to go down to D, right? Instead of G sharp, you're going to D F sharp, right? D F sharp. A, instead of B. That's all you're doing. You're just doing the same octave, just dropping everything down to D. Not a drop D tuning. The entire tuning is D, and try that. Now, for me, it's a little more difficult jamming with a band because I can't think well enough, fast enough, go, oh, where are you guys? I'm 2 frets off. I mean, I should, but I'm old. You guys can do it fine, I'm sure. And the other thing is G dobro will work, right? So GBD, GBD. That will tune on usually, gauge strings from, say, well, stock Melobars always came with 16, 18, 26 wound, 34, 42, 52, or 56. I've been playing around with that a lot because of the bare fingers and going lighter and lighter and lighter. And a lot of the stock gauges now, quite a few of the string gauge guys that sell lap steel gauges sell gauges very similar to that. But some of them are dropping the first string clear down to 14, 15, which I'm starting to do more too. I'm also, so a lot of times now, and I think this is strung up that way, I'm a 14 or 15 in the front, or the first string, and then I'm, say, an 016 on the second, and then I'm a 024 wound on the third, and then an 034, 042, 052. Again, sometimes I'll bump it up to an 056. The reason why the bass string's sometimes heavier is that the weight is so easy to knock that, so easy to knock it out of pitch, that if I want to, and I want the bass always, on pitch, if it's a 5/6, it holds my bar up better, okay? And a lot of the string gauging and stuff was based in the old days that they would take the nut, and the nut was absolutely chromatic, okay? So, basically they didn't use any hardly grooves. All the grooves are the same. in a roller nut or something like that, or a brass bar, or an aluminum bar. We over the years kept messing around and ended up we found that the guitars that played fast and better had a little lower string on the first, and on the and Dad's ears the 10th. So they had a little radius to them. Well, if I got a lot of grief on a forum over that. People trashing on me. Oh, you're an idiot because you're putting a radius on a steel guitar. Well, if you're used to a big bar and you're a lap steel player, then yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. But if you're a standard guitar player, the radius, if you actually know anything about building guitars, is one of the reasons we put a radius on the neck and we put a radius in the nut to match the neck is for bar chording. And you are bar chording. And what this simply does is make the middle strings a little higher so they're less apt to buzz by the time I get the first string to sound right. That's all, okay? But it makes quite a difference if you're a fast player and you're getting faster and faster. The guitar's more forgiving, and we also brought the strings off the nut so they had a little flex in them. They're not just flat. Well, that's the same reason why. As you put your bar down, you got this tiny bit of flex in there that actually cleans up 2, 3, and 4 faster, the buzz out of those 3 strings as your bar is going up and down on that, and it just sounded better. That's why we started building them that way. Well, then you talk to a luthier and they'll laugh at you and say that's what we've always done on standard guitars. Same thinking. On the bridge, Cindy Cashdollar was telling me, hey, she detuned slightly. She said on a video, I detuned slightly, on a dobro to make it sound right in tune. And I'm at a guitar show showing guitars. Cindy walks up and we're talking. I said, by the way, I heard that instructional video you did when you said that, and all you have to do is calibrate it a tiny bit. Doesn't take a lot. I mean, literally, whoop, one thing with the file, a half-round file, brings it back 1/10 of an inch, and the thing sounds in pitch to you because you've compensated for the amount of stretch your playing has done, that when you push that string down, it's making it slightly sharp, and we've just flattened it a tiny bit. That's what compensation is. So if you're having a little bit of kind of, I don't really like the sound sort of a thing, problems like that, that's probably what's going on. You might need to bring 2 and 3 back just slightly. I mean, a lot of times you can't see it. Okay, you can't see it on this guitar, but I guarantee you it's done. Okay, you can kind of see it. I can see it as I'm staring at it, just because I'm used to it. But anyhow, those are a couple things that might help also as you're playing. If you have just a stock lap steel you've picked up and you're a standard guitar player and you're kind of going, I'm not real happy with this. And flatting the third slightly is the difference between the sweetness of that third string, just a slightly flatting, is the difference if you don't really like true steel sound. If you're trying to knock it off too sweet to you, then versus this is steel, nice and sweet. Use that to your advantage. When I want sweet, that's what I'm gonna do. When I want more of a rocky sound, that's what I'm gonna do. So I think that covers it for this lesson. I'm trying, guys. Like I said, I'm getting old enough that if I don't get these videos down, I won't be able to share some of this stuff, and I've shared it with an awful lot of players over the years in person. It'd be great if I could, watch what you're doing, because a lot of times as I'm watching, we get the drop wrist, we get the flying fingers, we get the thumb coming off, and all of that needs to go into a karate chop, needs to go rock and roll off. The wrist needs to come up so the pressure's right. All those are important. And you'll find yourself reverting back to that as a standard guitar player, because it's not natural to do a karate chop on a standard guitar. So keep your eyes open for that. Remember to drop down, pull up, pull up, pull up. Always pay attention. Your guitar won't go out of tune as much because it's not getting the strings pressed so much, right? But check your tuning, as much as you do a standard guitar, because sometimes it's the heat and cold that's doing it, and you're just not realizing that, and you're wondering why it isn't quite sounding right. All of those things are important. Hope that helps.